Cool. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Away Games, one of the Chicago Cubs podcasts. I'm one of the Away Games hosts. I'm Kevin McCaffrey, and I'm here with Adam, and really here.
We're really in the same room, guys.
Yes, with Adam Amawala in my guest room, which I just wrote off the square footage of this on my taxes yesterday.
Nice.
Because this is purely a professional space.
That's true.
Nothing happens here except for jobs. That's it.
Yeah, I think you're allowed to do that, right?
Yeah, you are. I looked it up. It's fine. I mean, I'm definitely going to be audited this year because one of the things I made the most money on was an album track that made fun of Mike Pence. So, like, I'm gonna get audited, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But you know, fuck it. This is legal. So back in the podcast studio for the first time in a long time.
We are, and we will try to be as much as we can, especially as the actual season gets started. Because honestly, you guys deserve that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's nice. And you know, we don't have to show up fully physically present to work if the Cubs aren't.
Exactly.
And they just started.
You and I are both in spring training form right now. We're both working out. We're both trying to get into playing shape here.
Mm-hmm, that's true. I was doing a P90X chest and back this morning. You were running.
I ran here.
Full Rocky style. You got the hoodie and jog.
Exactly.
That's sweet. How was your trip? You just did a West Coast trip.
I did. I was in Colorado for most of last week, and then I was in Houston for a day.
Mm-hmm. Houston for a day. Maybe I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was there for a wedding.
Okay.
Oh yeah, because I had posted the thing about that my friend made the joke, and we've talked to that friend. He's the Cardinals fan that we've spoken to before.
A good
Chris.
fan, a good friend.
Friend. And
Chris Chan, right?
Yeah. If you missed it on our Instagram and Twitter, which is at AWAYGAMESPod, we had a group chat, myself and Chris and our friend Mike, who just got married. And he is actually a Yankees fan, and then my friend Chris is a Cardinals fan. And the group chat involved Chris saying, like, hey, in order to get a ring, since you're getting married in Houston, should one of us bang on a trash can, which is pretty good.
It is good, and it is, yes, is the joke, is everyone doing trash can jokes right now? They are, but here's, on a joke that everyone's doing, the way that you do it in a good way is the lead-up has to be circuitous,
right?
And it has to, and I feel like that was well done.
Yeah, the wedding speech angle, I think, was a good way to go. So yeah, Denver was great comedy scene out there.
Talk to Arenado out there?
Did not talk to Arenado. I did not did not try to involve myself with that. I don't think he's there right now, but I was very close to Coors Field for a lot of the week. It's all kind of like packed in there. Still have yet to go to a game there. I've been around the stadium many times. I might try to do that in September when the Cubs are there, which is always a risk to choose a series in advance. That's like, are they going to be out of it then? Are they going to, like, where are they going to be at? Because they could be very meaningful games. It's like Labor Day weekend, I think, is when they're in town.
Yeah, deep into the season, and I was listening to the Fangraphs podcast, and one of the Rockies, they do season previews for all the teams and have a beat writer on from the team, and the Rockies beat writer seemed cool. He seemed like a well-informed dude, but he was saying the Rockies truly, their stance is that they are World Series contenders.
Come on.
They are not. They are not. They won't be good by that point. But I think the upside to the late season ticket buy is that if it's a stadium you haven't been to, that's at least something. Even if the Cubs suck, you're still crossing off the stadium, you're seeing it, and it's like lower key. That was one of the, as my brother Patrick, who pinch hit for you last week on the podcast here, was saying, that's one of the nice things about spring training, is that even if you lose, you're not that sad.
Totally.
You know? Well,
that's why sometimes, and I think you would agree with this, it's fun to go to, like, I'll go to like a Mets-Nationals game just because I like baseball, and I don't have to feel stressed out for 3 hours, and I can, like, go get food for an inning and not feel like I'm missing something. Because at a Cubs game, like, I want to see every pitch.
Yeah, you want to see every pitch. Right. I think we're both people who don't particularly care about, let me find the perfect craft beer stand at this new stadium and stuff like that, which if you want to, great, that's fine. But same. I would rather watch the game that's happening. And when it's a low-stakes game, it's nice to remember you can go 3 hours without being mad once. Like,
I know,
that's
great.
That's a surprising thing for me to find out for myself sometimes.
Yeah.
So have you caught any of the spring training games so far?
I have. And I do want to mention, just from my very brief experience of being in Houston, first of all, I drove right past Minute Maid and I was flipping the bird out the window.
There you go.
Just want to let everybody know about
Adam
that.
went blue.
Yeah, I'll actually, there was a no-hitter thrown at Minute Maid Park the day that I drove past it. It was some sort of like college game.
Oh, really?
Some dude threw a no-hitter. I forget what it even was, but
that's fun.
I saw highlights later, and I was like, oh, I drove past there. Also, very brazen Astros fans. I saw a large number of people like more than you would think in a non-baseball time of year, and it seemed like it had the same energy as people who wear MAGA hats. I don't want to draw the comparison, but in terms of just like shoving it in your face, like fuck you.
Yeah, big fuck you.
It was
energy.
a lot of like people wearing full like Astros uniforms. Like they've got the hat, they've got the World Series champion shirt. And this was just from being in the airport and like driving around the Houston area for less than 24 hours.
And I think it's a pretty good comparison in terms of what you're right, because it's an invitation to fight. Mm-hmm. It's an invitation to verbally fight at least. And it's also taking pride in something profoundly stupid and unfair. so that is there. I think there are decent parallels here. That's interesting, though, and an interesting time to be in Houston.
Yeah, very much so. And I don't want to beat it to death because we've talked about it a lot, but like I keep thinking about how much worse this would be for baseball than it already is if the Astros had won this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's already pretty bad. But man, if they'd beaten the Nationals.
In hindsight, what a high stakes Game 7 that was. Mm-hmm. I mean, a Game 7 World Series, whatever. It hardly gets higher stakes than that. But truly, in a large sport sense, it is in hindsight an even bigger Game 7 than we knew at the time.
Which also makes it would be funny to find out that like last year, like the Marlins had like a camera set up. It's like, oh, they were still that bad.
Yeah, totally. And it's like you think there's a non-zero chance that is the case.
Maybe
that one of the terrible teams was cheating really hard and just kept sucking, which is that's fun. So you did, but you have seen some of the Cubs spring training.
I have, and I actually the Cubs Angels game the other day that they did the ESPN broadcast. I watched every minute of that game.
I was traveling during that, but that seems like that would have been the one to watch.
It was really, really, really good. Like everything that I've liked about the All-Star game in the past few years, they completely nailed in terms of like really giving you a look into like what that's like. And I think my takeaway from it was like, I want so much more of this. I realize it's probably not that realistic to have guys mic'd up during regular season games or especially higher stakes games, but it was really, really well done.
I think, we've seen managers mic'd up during games and talking, during an inning and between an inning. I think there is room for that, to include more players in that. But yeah, it is a lot of fun to hear guys playing during the game. I don't even know which clip we have queued up, but this is Anthony Rizzo and Chris Bryant were both mic'd during this game, right? And and it was fun. Let's play a little bit.
A microphone, so make sure you tell everybody. Tell Jason Castro. What's up, guys? I'm mic'd up. They're going to tell me everything.
Tell them you're about to go deep. Say first pitch, I'm going to wallop it. Impractical Jokers style.
Impractical Jokers getting a shout out from Rizzo. That makes sense.
Jokers, one of my favorite TV shows.
One of KB's favorite shows?
Yeah, I'm not crazy. Well, I am a little bit.
Say hi to Jeff.
Is that his name?
Yeah, Mr. Nelson.
Is that his name? He said as he was covering his mouth with his hand.
Listen to this. Do you get that reference?
The oh my god?
Yeah.
No.
Rookie of the year. When he's at the plate, it's like it cuts from like Henry to his mom to whoever, and everyone's saying like, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god," oh my god. And Gary Busey.
That's a good call.
That was a great one too, because KB fouled one down the line and ran, and then as he's walking back, he's like, "I'm tired."
Such a good example of that. It's something I know I've said on here before, but Chris Bryant I think is often thought of as like a vanilla guy and a vanilla.
I disagree with that narrative.
He's funny.
He is funny.
He's funny, and he says more than most. He says more interesting things than most baseball players do. Mm-hmm. I think it's just like he doesn't work blue for the most part. Right. He doesn't swear ever, and he doesn't lose his temper. Mm-hmm. So people think it's boring, but he actually is kind of like an interesting weirdo.
Right.
And it's fun and seeing and getting to see. And it was such a perfect time to have both of those two guys mic'd up because Rizzo's standing there on first base.
Right.
Doing oh my god while the pitch is coming.
Yeah. I mean, so in that case he was on deck because we had KB leading.
Oh,
off,
that's right.
Then,
yes.
Yeah, he's on deck. But yeah, there were times where in the middle of making a play, he's talking, or even Rizzo lined one into like right center, and as he's like coming down the line, he's like, I'm going too. No, I'm not.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
Yeah, as he comes around first base.
And he called, and on that pitch, Rizzo called before it came. He said, I'm looking for a fastball here because he's only thrown me one, and then it was, and he took one like chest high in right center, it's also just a casual example of how fucking good these guys are.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts that they're just casually chilling and playing at a really high level. Also, man, I know this isn't how you should think of these things from a baseball operation standpoint, but watching these two guys talk and hang out and be good, it makes me all the more be like, don't get rid of Chris Bryant.
I was thinking the exact same thing. Like, just in a world where KB gets traded this offseason to not get to have this kind of stuff anymore.
Yeah.
And it's clear that they still really enjoy each other, and that both of them still really enjoy Ross's company. And that was kind of cool to see too, as like obviously it's not realistic, we're talking about a spring training game, but like a small glimpse into what that relationship is like, where they're still like busting each other's balls and having a good time, but obviously they're also like calling him coach.
Right. Yeah, Rizzo called him Skip. I saw when they were talking about names they use at hotels and stuff.
That was great.
Much along the lines of Rookie of the Year. I think Bryant went with the Sandlot name for a while.
Rizzo would not reveal his because he still uses it, and apparently Ross went with I forget the name, but whoever
Jake
the backup
Taylor.
catcher is. Yeah,
Jake Taylor of the Cleveland Indians in Major League, which is my all-time number one baseball movie, possibly all-time number one movie. Also, I do this as a yearly thing I've done since I was a teenager. Before the baseball season starts, I get drunk and watch Major League.
Can I join you? I don't think I've actually seen it.
You want to do that?
I think my memory of Major League is that when I started getting into baseball, my parents rented it, but they didn't really know anything about what it was about. And we got like half an hour into it, and they're like, "This is not appropriate for you," and we just stopped watching it.
This is my grandma walked in during a scene with a lot of F-bombs, and my mom laughed herself silly because of just the juxtaposition of my grandma, who was a very like buttoned-up Miss Manners type, just being like, "How are you raising your children?" It's like, pretty fucking good, Nana. We're raising them pretty. They're having fun. So we can hang out and do a Major League drunk viewing. I do it every year. That was great. It was fun to see in that Angels game.
Also, it was cool. Like Listella went deep in that game.
I didn't see that.
While KB and Rizzo were sitting there, and they were like criticizing his home run trot, and it was great.
Well, I'm happy for Listella, and I hope he is full on healthy again.
Yeah.
Too, because God, what a first half of the year he was having.
Yeah, I mean, to have that kind of year and like, excuse me, a guy like him who's maybe only going to be on one All-Star team to then have to miss it because I think he like fouled a ball off his leg, right?
Yeah, I think he like fractured his shin.
The old Jermaine Dye injury.
Yeah, it stinks. Contact hitting second baseman with Pop. That's a good thing we don't need one of those.
And to see everybody with Madden again was really cool. Like it didn't seem forced for anybody. Like they were doing because the cameras were there. Like you can tell they just really love the guy.
Yeah, and Madden really seems like a guy who is. I mean, he is chill enough to genuinely not be sweating anything here.
Right.
He's excited about the new opportunity. Reporters talked to him and were saying that sort of referenced a couple of the players talking about the new excitement that Ross is bringing, and he basically said, "Yeah, I love change too. I get it. I get what they're saying. And there's no no hard feelings there for him at all."
No.
So that's great. He said, and they asked him, it's a very Madden thing. He was asked what if he has any regrets from his time, and he said he shouldn't have put his restaurant Madden's Post by Wrigley. He said he should have put it down off Michigan somewhere, and then it would still be killing it.
Right.
And he's like, well, we were warned, but that location kind of boned us. That's basically. So it's funny that is what he's thinking about. Like, I wish my restaurant was going.
There was a funny moment too, and I'm sure you've seen the clip where Rizzo's at the plate, and I think Jessica Mendoza is like, what do you think is coming? And he's like, I have no idea. And then as the pitch is about to come, he's like, just bang twice for me or whatever. And there was just dead silence. This is a full 10 seconds of like John Sciambi and Jessica Mendoza being like, are we allowed to...
Do we reference this?
Right.
It's like, yeah, everyone quit being a wimp. We all know what's happening. A-Rod went off about it. A-Rod talked about how he got suspended, lost $35 million, which, I mean, tough break when you have all the $35 million. Yeah. But, and he said, and I deserved it, which is also sort of classic A-Rod now, where it's like, yeah, you say that.
Yeah, navel-gazing a little bit.
Yes, and also A-Rod being like, I deserved it. I acted like a bonehead. Yeah, that's also part of A-Rod's personality now.
Right.
It's all fake.
Yeah.
But it's just...
Well, but he also said something fairly insightful, and even though I don't necessarily believe that this was true for him at the time, I think he said something to the effect of, like, yeah, you actually have to, like, be humbled by it, not just act like you're humbled.
It's totally true. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one of the many turnoffs with how the Astros have handled it.
There are going to be brawls this year involving
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think Heaney's going game 1 for it's Angels-Astros in the opening game, which I'm watching that. I'm getting my MLB TV. It's probably going to be on national broadcast anyway. But that is, I am making a point to watch the beginning of that game.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. Let's talk some specific Cub stuff from this week. Darvish. You see Darvish in the first...
I did.
98 on the gun.
Well, I heard you and Pat talking about it last week. Do you think they're like, are the numbers not accurate, or is everybody's velocity a little bit up right now?
I think it's. I really want to get clarification on that because it sort of seems like velocity is up. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a little bit of both because, I mean, stadium guns run hot plenty of the time.
Right.
But Darvish was asked about it, and what he said was, quote, no idea why. I'm kind of worried I might have taken something supplements-wise in the offseason, which is just classic, like, Darvish.
Trolling.
Yeah, Darvish saying funny things that no one else says, really. And also, like, how clearly he isn't taking weird shit to, like, joke about it is very funny. And also just a reminder of the insane natural arm talent that this guy
did you see, I don't know if it was the same interview that they were asking him, like, oh, what pitches did he throw? And he mentioned like 6 different pitches, and one of the maybe Gordon Wittenmeyer or something was like, "Holy crap!" Like, I think he threw two or three innings and threw 6 different pitches.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's just and Darvish very much is a guy who's going out there to do very specific things at this point in spring training. I think, and like you're not worried about results as much. He gave up a first pitch homer,
right?
But. Yeah.
That's some Rookie of the Year stuff right there.
Yeah.
First pitch of the season.
Yeah, totally. This is how it's going to go. But he's at 98, and I thought there was a couple interesting things. He touched 98, but he was sitting around 96. It looked like, and it seemed legit. He got a lot of swings and misses. I think 9 swings and misses, and he said I think we're finally starting to hear some cohesive information about the Cubs pitch lab and what it does, because I've sort of given the pitch lab a tough time because it's it has this nickname that's sort of highfalutin, our pitch lab, and it's like, yeah, but what has it done? You know, to this point, I think, not a lot over the last couple of years, but it seems like they're working on the difference between spin rate and spin efficiency, and it seems like you're starting to see a lot of the pitchers talk about working on these very specific spin issues. And Darvish's fastball was in the his four-seamer was in the 96th percentile of spin rate, and I think he's particularly working on his efficiency to get the swings and misses up, is what he was saying. And if he gets swings and misses up, I mean, he's, as Theo called him, the premier strikeout pitcher of our generation, so that could be neat. But when someone asked if he was ready for opening day, I thought this could also be an interesting thing that Darvish says as a joke, but also might be rooted in truth, where he said he's ready for game 3. So I do wonder if he sort of has been told, or if they know that, like, Hendricks is going 1, and then if Lester's 2, and to break up the righties and the lefties.
Well, I assume you would be team Hendricks goes opening day, right?
Yes. Not only do I think that Kyle Hendricks has been the best pitcher on this pitching staff over the last several years, which he has.
Yeah.
That is a fact. You can look at the numbers. People are scared of it. It's true. But I think just I think it's time for him to get that assignment.
Yeah.
And I get it's symbolic, but also I just want to see him do it. I just want Hendricks to be taking the ball game 1. I think he's the Cubs' best pitcher. He has been. You can say Darvish has a higher ceiling as best, and sure, okay. But I don't know. Kyle Hendricks has an ERA title, from a few years ago. These guys both have pretty high ceilings.
Right.
I would like to see Hendricks go game 1.
Yeah, I mean, who knows if Darvish is goofing around, but, like, I guess in that case you have, if you're going righty-lefty, which maybe isn't as important, of course, as doing it in an actual batting lineup. I assume you would have Hendricks, Lester, Darvish, and Quintana, and then whoever the hell the 5th starter is going to be.
Right, which looks like it's going to be Chatwood right now, even though Alec Mills has gone 6 innings and not given up a hit. But I still do think Chatwood, just even by virtue of the fact that he opened the game against the Dodgers in Game 2 of spring training, I think that just sort of shows you that he's getting first shot to begin games, of the guys in that 5th spot. But I think I really liked Chatwood in the multi-inning reliever role,
Yeah.
where he could come out and just let it rip last year too. If Alec Mills really, really seems strong, I sort of wouldn't mind either one of those guys getting the fifth spot. But it looks like Chatwood is leading now.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you have to figure he doesn't have an overly long leash, though. Like, if he comes out in the first couple starts, he's walking 5-6 guys per start. I don't know that you stick with him.
No, I think, and I think that's a situation where you probably have, between Mills and Chatwood, whoever's not getting that fifth spot, they're probably going to want him the other guy to be available for multiple innings when the other guy starts, you know, to maybe piggyback.
So do you think Mills is definitely on the opening day roster?
I think he's got to be.
I would think so too.
Because out of options, has performed well when he's up. He can go multiple innings.
Yeah. Oh, if he's out of options, then definitely he is. I didn't realize that was the case.
I'm fairly certain.
Jeffress looked really good the other day.
I
That was
didn't
the first
see
time
the
I'd seen him
Jeffress
pitch. He pitched an inning in the Angels game, and I think it was 1-2-3 inning. It looked pretty sharp.
Nice. That's great. Jeffress is a guy who, as we saw, God bless him, Brandon Morrow tore his calf. He strained his calf. So while you can dream on this high end back of a bullpen if literally everything goes right, it would be really important to see Jeremy Jeffress go back to his 2 years ago form.
Yeah.
That could be a real sexy addition to the back there. Also, as Brad Wick, as we know, has a heart condition now, and
what was that about? It's like an irregular heartbeat sort of thing.
Kind of, yeah. So
Scary.
I forget the specific medical term, but they discovered it. Just
an arrhythmia or something.
Checking him out, and he's they're going to check back in with him in 2 weeks. It seems like it seems like reports are good so far since that initial diagnosis, but also it's like you can't for sure count on him right at the beginning of the year, which opens the door for another lefty to join. Whether it's Danny Holtzen or something to join Kyle Ryan or
has Kimbrel gotten work in yet?
I haven't seen him in a game. I saw him in live BP. And Schwarber said he looked good. Schwarber was facing off with him and took a pretty wild swing at a hard curveball that I saw. So he's at least out there throwing, it seems like, but he hasn't gotten in. I haven't seen him get into a game yet. I
think the Cubs have tricked me again. Now I'm excited.
I know.
They always do it.
I was like committing to this being the year that I didn't pick them as a division champ, and then I'm looking at the roster.
Oh, I'll definitely pick them as a division champ. I think we both might be fooling ourselves when we really pick them as our World Series winners, but we're also allowed to be homers.
Yeah, this is a Cubs podcast, so it's like we like them. What weird torture it would be if we didn't. I think the thing is, not everyone, but a good number of these players did not play up to their potential last year, and the little things, as we've talked about, and that Hoyer said were a failure, like a large scale failure. The base running, the defense, the things that they were elite at when they won the World Series. If those things come back to, average. And hopefully better, because you look around the field and you have several Gold Glovers. The defense should not be below average, and it was. You can start seeing how you get back to where everyone's supposed to be, and then if a couple things go right and there's a breakout and a little bit of luck, it's like, all right, we're in the mid-90s for wins again if all that happens. But I do think it's the best roster in the division.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see how the Reds actually are this year, because I think they're the sexy pick to win the division.
I know.
I don't see it happening.
I don't think I even have them 2.
Yeah. It would also be funny because I feel like the Reds are always that team in the division that when they're bad give the Cubs fits. It would be funny if the Cubs are dominating them now that they're actually better, just because things are weird sometimes.
Oh yeah, if it's the reverse now that the Cubs just go win 80% of the head-to-head matchups and keep them out.
But I definitely see a world where all of the teams in the division other than the Pirates win somewhere between let's say 83 and 91 games.
Totally.
So if you're that team that wins 90 or 91, then why not?
I think in true talent here, you see 480 win teams, 80-plus win teams.
Yeah.
And I think the Cubs are the best of those teams, but we have to see. And also, the Cubs have left themselves in this weird position, and Brett Taylor was writing about this at Bleacher Nation this week, parsing Theo's comments where Theo said we're going to have to be really honest with ourselves around the trade deadline. So they're not below the luxury tax. right now. They're not,
Right.
and they want to reset. So they could be in a position where if they're not running away with the division, not looking extremely strong as not just a division winner, but a World Series contender,
Right.
That they sell off a piece to get under at the All-Star break when they're in first. You know, it could be.
People would be pretty upset about that.
Yeah, it'd be. Do you remember the White Sox white flag trade of the late '90s?
No.
It's some people probably do, but they were in a similar position basically, where they were in contention and then sold off.
Reinsdorf.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Garpax forever, baby. But I do, you look at this team. Steven Souza looks really good. Steven
Kipnis has looked fairly good.
Kipnis looks fairly good.
Almora's
looked really good, which he did last spring too. But I think we know kind of what happened there. So I think, and Ian Happ homers from both sides of the plate, single and a walk in addition to a homer the other day. I'm looking at all of this, and I think there's a good chance that Jason Hayward at bats go way down this year. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Steven Souza has a ton of talent. I think if he really is healthy again, you're going to see him and Wright a lot. Ian Happ I want to see on the field nearly all the time.
Yeah.
I
didn't realize what a freak accident Souza got injured from. It was like the last game of spring last year. He just stepping on home plate slid and blew out his knee.
Yeah.
Ugh.
It's terrible. But the dude's big.
Yeah.
And he's fast. He's still when he was before the injury, he was a guy who hit bombs and stole bases.
Yeah.
He's a big time athlete.
And he joins an illustrious list including Jason Markey, Junior Lake, and several other people to wear 21 and just have my brain not understand it.
Yeah, that's a good point. The 21 club.
I really don't like it.
No. Bring Sammy back.
Even if you don't retire his number, I just feel like it's a number that players shouldn't choose.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think if you have 500 homers with the Cubs, retire the number. You know?
I'm you and I are both SJWs in that way, but
yep. So Justice Warriors.
We gotta get on that merch.
Oh man, that'll be finally what carries us to financial freedom. is T-shirt stuff. So, all right, what else we got? I'm just talking about the fringes of the roster. So, when we were talking about second base a little bit, Kipnis looking good. Descalzo, spring training stats, who cares? But bad. Not back yet. God bless him. The problem is the guaranteed small amount of money, but for the Cubs, nothing small, apparently. I just don't see a world in which you're on your 26 best players on opening day. Daniel Descalzo is there.
Not now that you have Kipnis.
No.
Now, where does that leave Nico?
I think I've fully come around to I think Nico should start the year in AAA.
So Bodie, Kipnis, platoon. Has Bodie gotten a lot of at-bats? I feel like I haven't seen a lot of him.
He's gotten some. He got some at DH, and then a little bit at second, a little bit at third, I think. But I think right now Bodie Kipnis is how you start the year at second base. I think Nico, have him down to AAA. He never had AAA time last year. Right. Get him time at shortstop and second base, but get him at bats every day. And then I think Nico comes up at some point. Obviously, I think Nico does come up at some point.
He could be up by May or June.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be.
You kind of I think you let the year figure it out. You know how injuries happen, ineffectiveness happens. Nico showed he can play, but. He's not. He wasn't fully offensively ready. He just hasn't seen enough pitches. He also missed. He was drafted very recently, and he missed a lot of time with injuries. So let's just get him everyday reps. While second base is honestly, it's the situation the Cubs have had for the past couple of years where it's covered in quantity. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like everybody plays second base. Also, Ben Zobrist is back in camp as a coach.
Oh, really?
Well, he's hanging out. I don't even know whether you say it's officially in a coaching capacity, but he and John Lackey are both hanging around. So that's kind of fun. Zobrist has not officially retired, but also is just, he's just there right now.
Right.
So, yeah, I think right now you're starting the year with Nico getting full-time at-bats, AAA, unless something happens, while Bodie and Kipnis are splitting time there. Yeah, and then like we said, the one thing I think that is looking good so far is the Cubs' quantity approach to the bullpen. A lot of guys looking pretty good out of that bullpen.
Yeah,
Dwayne Underwood looked good the other day. Trevor McGill had when I saw him when my brothers and I were in Arizona, McGill threw I think 3 wild pitches in an inning, which isn't ideal as he's working on his pitch lab curveball. A lot of guys throwing the spike curve. That's apparently one thing they're really into over there. But yeah, I think we're leaning towards just the guys who don't have options being more likely to just make the team. Yeah, and then go from there. That's basically all I had for Cubs bullet points to talk about. Anything else you've seen spring-wise thus far?
I saw Mike Trout hit the shit out of a golf ball.
Hit it over the netting, right?
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it can't be that surprising when he's like an elite, one of the best athletes in the world probably, but... I mean, you golf. That's not an easy thing to do.
No, it's a different swing. I have hit a ball about 300 yards, and what he did is more than that.
I mean, I would love to see StatCast by Amazon Web Services numbers on that.
There we go.
My God.
This episode is brought to you by, not them.
by Jeff Bezos, specifically. He's a big fan.
Yeah, Bezos is a big fan of he's not even a Cubs fan. He just likes us.
No. There was also footage of Bellinger hitting a golf ball. And it was kind of cool because his follow-through looked exactly like his swing.
That's fun.
Yeah.
He has one of the best follow-throughs.
Oh, yeah. Very, very sexy, like, almost like hit the back of your knee with your follow-through.
Very pretty and long kind of looking follow-through.
So if you've not seen Mike Trout hit a golf ball, it's worth your time. And it also, like, it elicits a reaction from his teammates that can only be described as, like, someone jumping over someone in a slam dunk contest. Like everyone like pushing each other around and just freaking out.
Everyone holding each other back.
Yeah. One of my favorite things.
Oh, it's great. MLB benches could be a little more NBA bench-like, and I'd be fine with it.
Have you ever, this is fun, let's end on this. Have you ever elicited that response from a group of people? And if so, what happened? Athletically.
Athletically... this is weird because I did play basketball for a while, but then after after I had to stop playing basketball, I played a year of intramurals, and in the championship game, I went off, which I mean. His intramurals is better than everybody, so I should go off. But I hit a very deep 3 at the buzzer to send it to overtime, and everyone lost their minds. It's weird to be like, that's the first thing I remember as opposed to actual team games, you know? But that, and in an actual game, throwing I can't even take credit for it, but I think it was freshman year, throwing a no-look alley-oop to one of my my best childhood friend, and him basically...
He can dunk?
Oh, yeah. He was like... I mean, he could dunk in 8th grade when he was like 5'9". He was just a freak of an athlete. And then I will say, comedically, I got that response on a roast show on True TV's Comedy Knockout when someone made a joke about me. It's kind of like 3 comedians. Well, you're supposed to like roast each other a little bit, and there's a live audience, and some guy made a joke about like me not being able to get girls or something, and I was like, I mean, I'm married, like I have one, you know, and he's like, and he was like, yeah, but that does. He said something like that doesn't mean, yeah, but that doesn't mean anything, or that doesn't mean you can fuck or something. And I was like, you don't understand getting married because you've never had someone agree to fuck you twice, and that blew everyone up in the audience.
Nice.
So, how about you? Any athletic explosive responses?
Well, yeah, so when I was in high school, like the first 2 years of high school, I was like big. I was like Big Z type big. I was a big kid. I was chunky, a lot of baby weight. But I could still ball. Like I was still. You ever see And One mixtape?
Yeah.
I was like a smaller Escalade. Like I had like I could,
Yeah.
I had handle, but I was just big, and it was very clear. Like it was 2 half-court games going on, and one was like all the like corny, like shitty white kids who couldn't play basketball, and then the other side were like a bunch of dudes who could really play. And I always wanted to get into that game, but it was a very exclusive group, and they wouldn't just let anybody play. And I finally like weaseled my way in by like playing well enough that they're like, all right, he can play with us. And there was a time where I crossed this kid over so hard that he fell, and the game just stopped. Like everyone just ran away, and he was so embarrassed by it that he tried to convince everybody that the ceiling was leaking and that he had slipped on water on the court. because this like chubby me just crossed him up, and he was never going to hear the end of it.
Oh, that's great. When the excuses start coming in, when he's creating a backstory for the thing that
and
happened.
I didn't even have to hit the shot because the game just stopped.
That's also in basketball, playground basketball specifically. That's one of my favorite things too. That just a move is enough. You don't have to finish the play even. You know?
Well, yeah, and one mixtape they would like cross somebody up and then just throw the ball into the stands. Like it wouldn't even.
Yeah, I love it. Let's bring back in. I mean, maybe they're still around somewhere. But
the professor is still out and about.
He's tenured. Yeah,
he is. That's pretty good.
Thank you. The only other baseball news I had: Christian Yelich extension. Did you see?
I did see that. I'd love to get KB one of them.
And pretty affordable looking extension. Looks like it's
9 years, 200 something.
So basically, he's on for currently this year and next around $26 million, I believe. So that, and then 7 years beyond that, and the 7 after that, Ken Rosenthal said in the 190 range.
Okay.
Now, we're talking, let's say 190 plus 52. Okay, so he's basically on 9 years.
242.
9 years, 242. Guys, offer Chris Bryant 7 at 242 right now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's less than Arenado's deal, I think, so there's a good chance he still would say no to it. But Christian Yelich has been the,
best player, one of the best, top 3 in baseball.
Oh, yeah.
It's probably like Trout, Betts, and Yelich in the last few years.
Yes, absolutely. Over the last 2 or 3 years, I think you absolutely would say Yelich is right there. I think over the last 2, Yelich has an argument to be number 2. I think Betts is still your overall number 2, but... seeing him,
I think Bernie might be hitting that slide at Miller Park to let Yelich know what pitch is coming because his numbers at home are ridiculous.
They are. It's a suspicious split. It is. Yeah. But yeah, he signed this deal, and hopefully, obviously, the downside is that the Brewers have this top player in baseball locked up for a decade basically. The upside is that's another reference point. Can we get some fucking movement to lock up somebody?
That'd be nice.
Chicago Cubs baseball team. Chris Bryant is right there. Javi, get a fucking extension done.
Well, KB, Rizzo, and Javi, none of them are extended.
Yeah. And basically, I think Rizzo, Rizzo's still on that incredibly affordable deal. Whatever, if he's not a Cub for life, I'll be furious. But I think, getting to the end of the spring training and still not having anyone locked up, to me, is a failure of the front office.
Yeah, I would agree.
It just, when you're up in the air with your money situation to the point where you're looking at going into the middle of the year and maybe needing to deal from a contender for money reasons, when you're the Chicago Cubs, and you don't get some stability about what your team is going forward by locking up one of these guys who does want to be here and play with with a contender who you know what you're getting from both a baseball and person perspective. Get it the fuck done. Would be nice. So, hey, congrats, Christian Yelich, on that. And can we also do that,
If
please?
we were Brewers podcast, I would pitch you a T-shirt, a Bernie Bro concept, but it's the mascot Bernie.
It's pretty good.
It's not bad.
No, and it's a swing state. You need it.
Scott Walker licking motherfuckers.
Yeah, Scott Walker ass. Follow us at AWAYGAMES.
I've always been more of a Todd Walker guy than a Scott Walker guy.
Oh, got it. Team Todd over Scott, no doubt. Team Todd, who I heard from many female fans, hot dude. I heard ladies were into Todd Walker. Please follow us at AWAYGAMESPod on Instagram, on Twitter, and again, if you like gambling, you know our friends.
Thrive Fantasy.
Thrive Fantasy. Daily props. You can gamble every day. Do I recommend it? I do.
Hell yeah.
Everything's a gamble. Anyway, if you use the promo code AWAYGAMES, you get $10 free, and it's tax season. You could use it.
Yeah. Are you one of those people that says baseball is boring? Probably not if you're listening to this. But if you are, or you know someone who is, tell them to make baseball more interesting by using prop bets.
Using prop bets on Thrive Fantasy. Promo code AWAYGAMES. Thanks for listening, everybody.